It's a condition where people literally kind of turn blue. And the individual that I mentioned to you looked like this. The treatments that they have are really based on the cause.
I
Crazy.
would I would dive off my diving board and then swim for my life to the shallow end or the side of the pool and just have this impending feeling that a shark was going to eat me up at any moment. I'm not swimming in the
Yeah.
ocean. I'm sorry. If you're smoking pot and you start turning that color, I think it's
Yeah.
because it's not worth it.
I mean, and the first thing I thought of when I saw this is God has a sense of humor. No
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
Welcome to High Strangeness. I'm Tony, and this is a place where we talk about all things strange and unexpected in our reality. Today is a random strangeness episode, and back on the mic with us is Ron. Ron, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing fantastic.
Uh,
Cool.
I'm glad to have you on, and as we get going here this morning, we are taping. It'll come out this probably in September, but we're in the summer right now. How has your summer been so far? Are you enjoying it out there in California?
Well, I've been working. I haven't had any time off yet. It just started. Nice breezy 89, 90 degrees. Not too hot yet. Haven't had to use the AC too much. So right now it's pretty nice before it gets
Yeah.
into the hundreds.
Now, do you guys have anything planned for the summer? Any vacationing, or is the first thing you're going to tackle Phenomicon?
Yep. For Phenomecon's the first thing we're going to tackle. Next year, right now we've been going to AAA to set up a cruise to Alaska for 2026.
Mm,
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
it's gonna be mid-August, mid to late August. So we don't miss Phenomenon that year either. We plan on going
Yeah,
both years.
smart.
Yes, I'm gonna.
You know, I've been to one cruise, and it was to Alaska, and I loved it. You're going to
Yeah.
love that. It was great. Only bad part is I gained 12 pounds.
Oh, was the food that good or what?
Oh man, it was so good. Like, I didn't miss a meal, and it's so funny. My wife would laugh because they'd come out with the dessert tray, and they'd say, "Sir, which dessert would you like?" And I'd look at them and go, "I want all of them," and they would
Oh,
give me all the desserts.
really?
Yeah, I ate so much. My wife was like, "You're gonna die."
Yeah, it was like a food critic. I mean, table. Or what? Is that what it was? One bite of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was just everything. Well, not one bite. I finished everything. It was
Oh
crazy.
no,
Yeah.
I could never do that. My stomach. I can't eat dairy. I can't eat spicy foods anymore, and I love both.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I have either one, it feels like I swallowed a helium balloon. Uh, and I so desserts. I really not as fun as I used to be.
Yeah. I would struggle today. This was a few years ago, so I could
Oh,
eat a little bit differently back then. But no,
I
I hear you.
miss
That could
I
be
miss
bad.
ice cream. Oh, ice cream! I miss ice cream. I We went to a yogurt mill a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine from the church had taken us up in his little plane, a Piper Cub, and it was
Oh,
wonderful.
nice.
Yeah, and so afterwards, for him treating us with that, we took him to a yogurt mill, him and his wife, and I always make the mistake. I should always get the little baby cup, but no,
Yeah.
I had to get the big thing with all the workings, and I was miserable for the rest of the night. I just sat
Oh,
up the whole night. I couldn't lay down.
yeah. Isn't it like it's like when you're younger and when I used to overdrink, the next day I was like, why did I do that? It's the
Yeah.
same thing, but with food, right? It's crazy.
hmm I'm a one drink guy now. If I have more than one drink, it's over.
Right.
No, I'm serious. Yeah. I won't be drinking that much on the cruise. If I have a drink, that'll be a day.
Yeah.
That'll be about it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about the beach. I mean, you're in California. Are you a beach guy?
Not in the sense of like Santa Cruz or LA, San Diego beaches. Not really. Maybe
Yeah.
when I was younger and in better shape, but now I give me like the beach at like maybe Monterey or Half Moon Bay, just to
Mm,
walk on the beach. That's more our style now, or maybe lay down, get a blanket down and read or something. She'll read. As soon as I lay down, I take a nap.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of weird that way. I don't love the beach. When I'm on the beach, I'm sitting under, you know, umbrellas, and I don't like the heat too much. But my wife and my daughters, oh my gosh, they love to just lay out and get all the sun. They love to soak it up, and I'm all like, behind stuff trying to stay cool. It's funny.
Now, will they swim in the ocean?
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they like to jump in and do all of it. So,
Didn't see Jaws?
you know what? No, well, my wife did, but yeah, and I'm being from the back east, Jaws originates from New Jersey. That's where and so that was I was probably early teens or maybe 10 or I don't know when that came out. But I remember
1976, I think it was 77, 76 or 7.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I was just under 10, and yeah. I mean, it was like I was scared.
Me too,
because it was real to me.
I couldn't even swim in my own swimming pool at night by myself. It was really bad. It messed me up big time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would dive off my diving board and then swim for my life to the shallow end or to the side of the pool and just have this impending feeling that a shark was going to eat me up at any moment. And I knew it wasn't there, but it really was. Yeah. I couldn't shake it. And I still to this day, when we went to Mexico, they assured me there was no sharks the one time I went. The one and only time in my whole life I've ever been more than ankle deep in ocean water. Really? And I swam a little bit because you couldn't see anything. So I had a false sense of security.
Yeah.
I did it for a little bit, and then so now I can say I did it, and I'm never going to do it again. I'm not swimming in the ocean. I'm sorry.
It's crazy. Now, as a teenager, I'd go boating out there in South Jersey and North Jersey, and I'd go catching sharks all the time. I'd go fishing for sharks. It was crazy. They're killer, man. They are killing animals just like a little machine. It's crazy to me, but yeah.
But wasn't it a bull shark that the movie Jaws was fascinated with? Some bull sharks attacking people in streams, right?
I think like in inlets or something. Like
inlets. Yeah. Fresh water though.
Yeah,
a mix
like
at least.
Where they mix. Yeah, exactly. Crazy to me, but real
you would
stuff.
think you'd be safe. You'd think you'd be safe, but you're not.
Yeah. Well, Ron, as we think about when we're younger and we're thinking about water and all that stuff, I got this picture here. Like one of the things, I don't know about you, that I would remember as a young person, as a kid, summertime, was this, where young people would have these colored tongues, right, from their Italian ice or Slurpees and that sort of thing. Do you remember that? You still see it now a little bit, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to see that, and it reminds me a little bit of where we're going to go today in our topics. Now, during the wintertime, I like to go every once in a while and see some shows down in Vegas. Do you get to go down to Vegas at all?
I've been there a few times.
Yeah,
we saw Terry Fader. Have you ever seen him?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you got to see Terry Fader. Great show. Yeah, great show.
Well, the last time I was there, I went and saw these guys, and it was a weird thing, right? The Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
And it was, when I'm sitting in there a few times, I was thinking, why am I in here? It was just bizarre. But it was fun. It was fun, and it was thoughtless. Like you didn't have to think about anything. You just watched it. And these guys were entertaining in the whole show. Not one word was spoken. It was pretty interesting, but it was all like theatrics and things that they would do. That was pretty cool. But as I think of Blue Tongues and Blue Man Group, it reminds me a little bit of our first situation that we're going to talk about today, which is basically a condition that's called Methemoglobinemia. Methemoglobinemia. Have you ever heard of that?
Not until now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a condition where people literally kind of turn blue. And it's a rare blood disorder, sometimes called blue baby syndrome, which affects how red blood cells deliver oxygen to cells and tissues. So, a lot of times people think of somebody who's cold or freezing, and they kind of start turning blue. And that makes sense because the blood's pulling away from the surface of their bodies and going in deeper. and their skin changes tint a little bit. So it's kind of like that in a sense that it's, but the only difference is really, it isn't that the blood's pooling inside. It's really what's going on with the red cells themselves. So they're more blue. The red cells are more bluish. Now, for everybody out there, you may realize this, that when blood's coming and it's oxygenated, it's red, very red. And if you look at your veins after, on your arms after a workout, they're kind of bluish, right? So it's all the unoxygenated blood coming back, and that's why your blood vessels are bluish. Well, imagine your whole body being in a situation where it's just kind of got that blue tint, and because your red cells don't have that red color anymore. That's kind of what we're talking about here with this disease. Have you ever seen anybody with a bluish tint? Like not Halloween though?
I was going to ask you the same question because I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Yeah, I've seen one person where I worked a few years back, and it was interesting because they were working in the janitorial services, and you could tell they were a little self-conscious about their tint. Yeah. And I have a picture in a minute here that we're going to show, and this is about how blue he was. So we'll look at that in a minute. But yeah, it's interesting because I can't imagine some people, without knowing about this condition, they might be thinking, what is wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
So let me take a minute and just tell you a little bit about the condition, Methemoglobinemia. It says people can inherit this condition, but it usually happens when people use certain medications or recreational drugs, or they're exposed to certain chemicals, dangerous chemicals. And it says it can be life-threatening, especially for babies that are born with this severe type of the condition. Most of the time, healthcare providers can treat this condition with other medications, and it reduces this methemoglobin levels and eliminates the symptoms. But so you can get it taken care of for the most part, but a lot of times people, they just don't go get it seen, or they've been their practices, whether it's recreational drugs or whatever, put them in a place where they don't really take the time to get it checked out, right? Or they want to do the drugs, so they don't really want to stop.
Right.
It says most people with methemoglobinemia have some level of cyanosis, which is an issue where they don't have enough oxygen in the blood.
Okay.
And it turns their nail beds, their tongues, their lips, their skin, this distinctive shade of a light blue or a purplish color.
Wow.
And let me show the picture here. Like this is, so this isn't a tough picture because it's an old picture. But down here, you can see at the bottom right-hand corner, somebody who has it pretty severely. And they look gray-blue, and their eyes are even blue. It's really a bizarre situation.
Even the whites of their eyes got blue.
Yeah, like everything. Now, red blood cells rely on the protein hemoglobin to carry oxygen. So it's a genetic mutation that turns hemoglobin into methemoglobin. And this doesn't carry oxygen as effectively. And so without adequate blood oxygenation, the amount of oxygen in your blood, you start having issues, and then you get what I called cyanosis. So.
Okay. I could understand why the person would feel self-conscious.
Oh, yeah.
Just because people can be cruel or they don't mean to be, but they can't help but stare.
Yeah.
For whatever, for various reasons. Maybe they're concerned, or maybe they're just trying to figure out, like you said, what's going on with this person.
Yeah. I mean, when I ran into this person a few years back, I didn't know about this condition. And I took 2 or 3 looks because I was like, what am I seeing? I didn't realize, I was trying to figure out if my eyes were just seeing something that wasn't there. But it was crazy. So in this picture, you see an older woman with somebody, and she's got that bluish tint. And this is a picture of somebody who has it pretty severely.
Yes.
And the individual that I mentioned to you looked like this. So it was, it wasn't like,
Wow.
oh, they kind of have a tint. No, he was blue like this.
Yeah. And people are, like, especially kids, they're going to be cruel and call him stuff like Papa Smurf and,
Right.
yeah. I mean, that's going to be exactly how kids and giggling. And you said he was a janitor.
Yeah. Yeah. And he, like I said, he was trying to hide himself. He was definitely,
Poor guy.
yeah, he was definitely not comfortable with the way he looked. So it was really, I felt bad for him a little bit.
I wonder if he knew what he had.
I don't know, but he was an older fella. So he was like, it looked a little bit kind of like this. I mean, he just was an older guy.
Yeah.
So can there be more extreme cases of this? Yes. Okay. Some of the signs when people get this is they get fatigue, weakness, headaches, central nervous system depression, metabolic acidosis, seizures, dysrhythmias, coma potentially, and death if the oxygen in their system gets so low that they're not able to sustain tissues like they need to.
So I guess I imagine they would always be on oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, or I guess it depends on what's the reason, right?
Yeah.
So treatments, the treatments that they have are really based on the cause. So if you're born with this condition, there's one path that they do. If it's because of recreational drugs and they catch it early enough, they obviously tell you to limit the use of that stuff.
Or quit.
Toxic substances, there's probably some purging and some detoxing processes, but yeah, it's crazy.
I'd be quitting that drug.
Yeah.
If you're smoking pot and you start turning that color, I think it's because it's not worth it.
No,
it
not
wouldn't
at
be
all.
worth it at all. Yeah.
This is another picture, and I'll talk about him in just a minute. But so some of the treatment is methylene blue. It's a drug that's getting a little more popular lately. And then things like vitamin C and B2 are some of the substances that people are told to take to try to purge this out of their system.
Okay.
Now, oops, shot through too much there. But so this guy, born with the blue skin, these guys are known as the blue fugates. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's the blue people of Kentucky. There's a whole family that live up in the hills in Kentucky, and most of them have this condition. Since the 19th century, they're known for having this genetic trait, and most of them are blue. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, this is probably not funny, but the first thing I thought of is, let's go back to 1920, right? Somebody's hiking up in the hills in Kentucky, and they run across these blue people. I wonder if it was a cause for some legends, right? Or some things where people go, I saw a blue alien out there, or whatever.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That could be very, very easily, I guess that's never happened. I mean, maybe there has been some sightings that guy, somebody saw him, and those guys, they took off and ran and thought maybe they saw not the skunk ape, but yeah, you're right, absolutely right. I could see that happening. An alien.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think of like how UFO enthusiasts say there's different aliens out there. One of them is a blue avian blue or something is what they're called.
Sorry.
They have this bluish skin, and I'm thinking, well, was it somebody with this? And they got identified. I don't know.
Possible.
Kind of crazy. Any thoughts about this blue thing here? You never ran into anybody like that, you were saying, but
Never.
If you ever do now, you may ask, in your mind, you'll be like, I wonder if that person has this.
I will know not to stare at them.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'll have enough sympathy for them to not be the one of the people in the crowd that might be doing it to them, because I'm sure what percentage of the population is even aware of this condition. I'd never heard.
Right.
I'll be 58 in a couple months, and I've never heard of this in all my 58 years. So
Yeah.
I know I'm not alone.
Well, and the person I ran into a few years back, that's the first time in my life I'd ever seen that. And at that time, I was like, what's going on? Couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, look, Ron, we're going to transition to the next topic here. And it's interesting. So when you think of somebody when you see somebody like this, you think, oh, it's related to being cold. Their skin's blue, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's not. Now, this next topic is going to change and flip that coin in just a little bit, and I'll get into it. Before we go there, do you remember this cartoon when you were younger? Like, this was an old Santa animated thing.
I thought so.
And this was the cold miser and the heat miser. And do you remember that?
Was that on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
It was like one of those same types of shows.
I used to love those claymation.
Yeah.
The one with the Yeti. You remember the one with the snowman? Yeah, those were all fun.
They were fun.
I think that was Rudolph.
But I brought this up just because it reminds me, as we transition, when you think of cold, like the cold miser here, you think of blue. But we're going to talk about a condition that deals with cold, and the people don't turn blue. So it's going to be something a little bit different. Now, there's a condition called cold urticaria, and it's actually a condition where people are allergic to the cold. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I have not heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And here's my introduction to this, okay? So one of my daughters, my middle daughter, had come to me when she was early teens, maybe even 10 to 12. And she would complain that she would get itchy and feel weird whenever she got cold. And so honestly, I just didn't think anything of it. I was like, come on, you'll be fine. But then, she was probably early teens, and we noticed that she would get these blotches and stuff like rashes. And we were like, what in the world? And the only thing that really initiated was an exposure to something cold, or if she was outside and got wet and it got windy, and it would kind of get her cold. So we took her to the doctors, and actually, let me back up. My wife took her, and then when they got home, I said, "Hey, what happened? What did you find out?" And she said, "Dad, I'm allergic to the cold." And I went, "Yeah, right." I said, "For real, what happened?" She goes, "No, I'm serious." That was my first exposure to it.
Wow.
And it's a real thing, and one of my kids has it. So I don't know. Here's a little bit about it. It is a condition where the skin reacts to the cold, and it appears within minutes after some kind of a cold exposure. And it affects the skin and develops itchy welts. So this young lady has it down her neck, and this is another picture of it developing on somebody's arm. And this is what my daughter would get, a little bit on her arms. And, she'd go out in the wintertime, and this would happen. It was crazy.
Wow. Did it ever affect anything else? I mean, was it just more on the skin level, or did it?
Yes, for her, it was just on the skin level, but it can get worse. And so here's some details about it. So people with this cold urticaria experience widely different symptoms. Some have minor reactions to the cold, while others have severe reactions. For some people with this condition, if they're swimming in the cold or water, could lead to very low blood pressure, fainting, and even go into shock. And worse in some cases, like you can get anaphylactic shock, which is where that your throat and your tongue start to swell. And, it's like if you were stung with a bee and you're allergic to a bee. Now, that's the most extreme cases, and you could pass away from that.
Yeah.
But most cases are not that extreme. It's more like this, where they're getting this kind of thing in their arms.
Okay.
So the symptoms include itchy welt hives, the area of the skin that's exposed kind of gets reddish. Swelling of the hands if you're holding a cold object. Swelling of your lips if you're consuming cold food and drink. Now, my daughter does not have any issues eating or drinking things cold.
Okay.
Not even holding something. But
Good.
it's on her arms and shoulders if she's exposed to something cold. So there's a lot of variation here.
Well, I think that would save a lot of money on Botox for some ladies. You know, if they want to go out for the evening, they can just drink something cold and have. I mean, I'm kidding. I'm just.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, right? Here's a picture of somebody's back, kind of doing this same thing where it's itchy and red. And
Have you ever had hives? You ever broke out any hives?
the only thing I've ever had happen to me was I do have a slight reaction to the grass. So as a kid, I couldn't lay without a shirt on in the grass because I'd get itchy.
Me neither. Yep.
And then, of course, poison ivy would obviously does something like this. So I've had that before.
I'm the same way, even with clothes on. I can't lay on the grass. I have a reaction to grass too. I actually had hives when I was like 16 for a short time. It was when I was under a lot of stress when I was younger, and it would literally cover my entire body.
Wow.
It would start as like a welt, and then I would notice it because it would itch a little, and after like 3 or 4 times, I knew well, I need to go lay down or something. And it would just consume my entire body, my eyelids, everything. I mean, every single square inch of my outer body.
Man.
It never affected my breathing, thank God. But it. I mean, I look like a monster. I'm sure of it. It happened for about 2 months.
Yeah. And you were pretty young when you first realized this, or?
I was 16. It never happened. It never happened again. I've never had them since.
Oh, okay.
This was just a short term. I was under a lot of stress though at the time.
Yeah.
And the doctors, they tried creams, put me on Benadryl. They changed my bedding. Told me to if I have any wool, get rid of wool, anything that might irritate it, and eventually it just stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how the body reacts to certain things. I mean, who knows? And sometimes you don't even know the cause of it. And your body just does some weird stuff. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, there you go, everybody out there. Cold urticaria. If your kid says, I'm itching, Mom, Dad, and it's cold out, this is a real thing. Maybe look to see if they're breaking out underneath their jacket or something.
Correct, yes.
All right, Ron, we've now went from the medical area to we're going to dive into the next area of strangeness, which is strange animals. There's something called the Lowland streaked Tenrec. And this is a picture of it right here. Cute little thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. It's just interesting. If you're listening to this episode, you should hop on and watch the YouTube version of this episode because I don't really know how to explain it. It kind of is a yellow, black little mouse kind of a thing, but it looks like it's got spiked hair.
It almost looks like it has a little bit of porcupine in it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And a snout almost like a hybrid aardvark or something. Not quite, a hose like they have, but long snout. It's gorgeous. That'd probably be good. But I wonder what kind of pets they make.
I'm going to tell you about that in just a second.
Okay.
Because somebody's thought the same thing you just thought.
Oh, gorgeous.
So they're found in Madagascar. They're small. They're mammal-like. And here's the weird thing about them. They use a mode to communicate or to make sounds called stridulation or stridulation. They generate sound in a way that snakes and insects do by rubbing something. And it's got this vibrating sound. I wish I had the sound to play here, but I don't. But it's interesting. And you just start to wonder, really, that's, it's a different kind of a noise for something like that. So they're not a rodent. They're more of a mammal, which is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a rodent.
Yeah, it does. Here's another picture. This one's just a different angle. I think it's interesting that they're pretty helpless. They're not a dangerous animal at all. They mostly live underground, and there are lots of predators that they need to be concerned with.
I'm sure of it.
There are 5 versions of this, or species of this, that can become pets. Like you mentioned, there are people that actually have said, hey, I want this as a pet.
Yeah.
And they feed them with frozen cat food, supplemented with mealworms, earthworms, crickets, and mouse pups. That's
Mouse
weird.
pups?
Mouse pups, yeah.
I wouldn't feed them that.
No, I wouldn't either. Ground meat fortified with minerals and vitamins, canned dog food, cooked eggs, and small amounts of fruits and vegetables are also acceptable by many of them.
Okay. It looks like a burrowing animal. Now that you say it lives underground, it looks like the mole family, or
right.
Something of that nature.
Not very big. Here's another picture with one in somebody's hand, and actually, that hand is a child's hand. It's not even an adult hand, so it's a pretty small animal. Now, if you're out there and you're thinking, hey, I want to get a Tenrec as a pet, there's one drawback to them. Don't get the males. And here's why. They smell bad.
It's just like us.
Yeah, exactly. They secrete some kind of a pungent smell that is meant to attract females when they're in mating season. And so
at least it works for them.
It works for them. Yeah, it works for them. But apparently if you have one of these as a pet, it's pretty stinky. So, okay. And they live about 8 to 10 years, but under human care, they can live as long as 13 years. Almost like a dog. Any thoughts about the Tenrec?
I mean, Cheryl wouldn't let me get one, but my cats would. I don't think it wouldn't last very long. We wouldn't be able to even turn around and turn our backs on the cats at all.
Yeah.
So it's not an option for me, but it sure is adorable.
Yeah, it is. Well, look, we're going to slide right into our next strange animal, which when I first saw this thing, I'm like, you're kidding me. This is not real. And here we go right here. It's called the red-lipped batfish.
Oh,
now,
gosh.
It's hilarious. It looks like it's wearing lipstick, but it's not. This is the way it looks for real.
It's like a rated Lucille Ball's wardrobe.
Yeah.
Medicine, her cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, and the first thing I thought of when I saw this is God has a sense of humor. No doubt about it.
Wow.
So it's found in the Galapagos Islands. This fish is actually a pretty bad swimmer. It uses its pectoral fins to walk on the bottom of the ocean. And I mean, they're pretty helpless. They don't really protect themselves very well. And so people would think, man, how are they even around if they're, this is another funny picture.
Maybe they can't protect themselves. Maybe they got red lips because they got busted up a couple times.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking like maybe other fish are laughing to death, and that's why. Yeah, I know, right? Like, okay, so all jokes aside, how do they protect themselves, right? That's the first question, because if they can't swim well and they're walking on the bottom, how are they not extinct, right? So here's the answer. Their flesh contains a highly poisonous substance that makes them taste really, really bad and repulses predators. So, I think what happens is maybe the fish or the predators are communicating to the other rodents and saying, yeah, don't eat that because that tastes pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's their only sense of protection.
Yeah, the rumor that the word got around, stay away from that guy.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Here's another crazy picture. People, if you're listening to this, you've got to see these pictures. They're just
That's the
hilarious.
best looking of the 3 that you showed me, at least.
Yeah.
Wow. What? That part of the world, I mean, both of those that you showed us are from that kind of general region, right?
Yeah.
One was from the Galapagos. What was the other one? Do you remember?
Madagascar.
I can't. I mean, I don't have a globe in front of me, and
Not exactly in the
geography
same
wasn't.
area, but
Yeah,
that corner in southern part of the planet. Yeah.
yeah. It's just something that's going. That it's funny how you can have different bodies of water in living in a saltwater environment. But you got different temperatures in the Pacific than you do in the Atlantic, and you do the Indian and so forth. So I guess that's obviously why when you say it out loud, it makes sense why there's different types of creatures in different oceans.
Yeah.
Just odd looking.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. They are carnivores. They tend to snack on small fish and things like that. But it looks like they're just scooping things off the ground. This one's funny. It looks like it's like got a white beard stubble or something.
He's been around a while.
Yeah. Oh, man. And this is another one just kind of crawling around the seafloor.
Oh,
So
I didn't. That's the first time we saw the tail.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird looking. See, but even a fish, they call it a fish.
Yeah, they call it a fish. I know, but it makes it look like it's a combination of a couple things.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting. So there we go, everybody. If you want to look more into it, it is the red-lipped batfish.
It does kind of look like a bat face, the face right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Ugly.
We're going to transition into the next topic. But before we do that, I have a question for you. What is the craziest place you have ever fallen asleep? Or the most uncomfortable place that you've ever fallen asleep?
Oh, we took a train. I think it was from Sacramento to Oregon, and I have to say I was not comfortable at all. I mean, my butt hurt. I could not sit. I mean, I could not get comfortable. The angle. So I tried to sleep. I dozed off for a little bit, so I wouldn't call it sleep. Camping. There's been one time I had to sleep in the back of my van, my pickup.
Yeah.
That was very uncomfortable. I wasn't smart enough to think ahead and grab some extra padding, and I damn near froze to death too. It was up in Strawberry in the mountains. I had no experience sleeping in that environment either. So I've had a few.
Yeah.
But nowhere odd, I would say.
It's funny as I think back about that question. I'm weird in that I pretty specific about where I can sleep. I do not sleep well, not even in a hotel. Like if it's not in my bed with my pillow, I don't sleep well. So
Same here.
my wife will laugh at me because we can be anywhere. If we do a flight overnight, I don't sleep, and it's just kind of crazy. But a funny story I'll just share real quick with you and the listeners. I had a friend of mine. His name's Adrian Salcedo. Okay, back in early 80s, he and I we're sitting in a car. We're teenagers. And he's talking to me, and I'm driving. And in the middle of a sentence, he just stops. And I turn and look over at him, and he's asleep. Mid-sentence, he's asleep. And I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, yo, what are you doing? And he didn't really wake up real quick. And then all of a sudden, maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds later, he wakes up and picks back up where he was talking and just keeps going. And I'm like, what in the world? I mean, it was crazy. And I said to him, what did you just do? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you literally passed out and then started talking again. And he said, oh, yeah. I fall asleep sometimes.
But how do you pick up right where you left off?
Right. It was so bizarre. It was crazy.
That is bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking about weird places to sleep and that kind of thing, our next topic is, what if we said you could get paid to sleep?
I'd be
Strange
rich.
job. Who would want that job? Maybe a lot of people, but right? Yeah, there's chances and opportunities out there. There's a position called a professional sleeper. Professional sleeper. What do you think about that?
Well, I want to know what is the purpose of paying somebody to sleep?
Right. Yeah,
I,
because everybody's thinking, I'll do that.
I wish I got paid for it now.
Right.
I don't sleep well. I mean, for the most part, it's just because you got to get up. I got arthritis in my shoulders. I toss and turn. I rarely ever. I once every 4, 5, 6 months, from just I guess from exhaustion,
Yeah.
I'll sleep for a good 6, 7 hours, but never like my oldest son. Oh, that guy can sleep. I wished, because when I was younger, I slept like a dead man sometimes. This is kind of
Yeah.
over time. You know, I'm an insomniac. By nature. Since
Yeah.
I was probably about 22 or 23. But, well, why pay somebody to sleep? I'm interested to hear what you got to say about that.
Well, there we go. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's thinking that same thing. So here's the thing. There are professional sleepers in these specific areas. Art installations. Professional sleepers might pursue this career with creative intentions. Some of these professionals sleep in a particular setting as exhibitionists. Not the kind where you display yourself, I guess, but for art, performers. So I don't know if it's so that they can be drawn. I'm not sure I totally understand that, but that's one thing. This one makes more sense. For medical research, professionals may serve as a research subject for organizations that want to learn more about the effects of sleep on the body. And they can sleep to help with trials and studies, with various sleep aids, medical products, and stuff like that.
So it's not a full-time position.
Yeah, it seems more like a contract, right? Like do this for this study for a month or whatever.
Okay.
They have also some people that do product testing. So they may test out beds, mattresses, bedding, pillows. Yeah. And it says here manufacturers may use this information to improve their products and support their marketing efforts. So I guess they got to say, we know this is good and works when people sleep. And how would they then know that without actually doing a study?
You said pillows. You remember Mike Lindell, My Pillow guy?
Yeah.
If I would have been one of his first ones to do the research on that guy wouldn't have made $1. There was nothing about that pillow whatsoever. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
it was too thin. I gave you no support. I was very disappointed. It was like $40 for the pillow.
Yeah.
And I wanted my money back. I guess he went out of business. I don't know what happened to him, but you don't hear about him anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want my money back. I still want my money back.
Well, look, I'm weird about pillows too. And you want to know what pillow I use? And I love it. Ever heard of the purple bed? Okay, so there's like the purple bed, but they make a pillow. And it's pretty cool. It's like $100 and some bucks, $150 pillow, but it's amazing.
Really?
So, yeah, after the show, check out the purple bed and purple pillow. And yeah, it made a big difference for me because my bed, sometimes I get hot at night, but the pillow is very cool. And so the pillow never gets hot. So it really, and it's thick and elevates your head. It's really good.
That's what I need because I use 2 pillows. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, I used to use 4. Yeah, I used to use 4 and then elevate the tip of my bed. And now I don't need to do any of that. So it's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
So what does a professional sleeper do? Exact duties are things like this. Consume sleep aids such as medications, supplements, or gummies. Participate in trials for products and medical aids. Provide clients with feedback about comfort and sleeping experiences. They perform tests related to cognitive functions after resting. They test products to confirm the quality and durability of function. And you also have to be able to write reports and be specific about your experience in writing. So there you go, people. If you want a career in sleeping, you better get a few of those skills down.
Can I say something? You mentioned gummies.
Yeah.
Cheryl has had take some of these. It's called CBN. You get them at like the dispensaries. It's got a very 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 slight amount of THC. It's not what it's for. It's for to be taken. It's supposed to relax you enough and help you sleep.
Yeah.
Right. But my body seems to react to everything, and I took one of those one night, and every time I closed my eyes, everything was racing. I felt fine when my eyes were open, but when I closed my eye, I didn't sleep. I was like,
no.
how does this work for any? I mean, well, she sleeps fine. But
Yeah.
my receptors.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
No gummies for me. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I know somebody who also uses it, and they like it. But yeah, I don't know. Never tried it.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Okay, Ron. Now we're going to jump into the next strange or different job. Now, when you look at this picture, these guys are cute, right? Those of you listening and not watching, we have a picture of a bunch of little panda bears sitting in a kind of like a makeshift crib. As cute as can be, they almost look like little stuffed animals. So cute. Now, everybody who loves animals is looking at this and going, oh, wow, so cute. What if I told you you could have a job where you worked with these guys? Yeah, it's actually called the Panda Fluffer. That's what the position's called. Panda Fluffer.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little bit about this. Pandas are endangered species and extremely lazy. There are animals who are unwilling to move unless they want to eat. So sometimes it requires a human to give them assistance and motivation. Sometimes humans even need it to help encourage mating and stuff like that. Yeah. So there you go. Panda Fluffer. I thought at first they would just fluff them up or something when I heard that name, and I guess there is some aspect of the job that does, with how they look, keeps them groomed and that kind of thing. But mostly it's for these other things. So
they play with them. So they play with them and
keep them motivated. Yeah.
Because pandas are adorable animals. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I mean they are like, you almost they almost look like a little stuffed cute animal, right? When they're little anyway. But they're good looking animals even when they're bigger too.
And they can kill you. So you gotta be careful.
Yeah. Let's look at this. People wonder if it's a real job. So I did some research on this. It was months and months ago, but this was something on Indeed I saw. Job posting. A panda cuddler. Salary was $54,000 a year. It's not bad. I don't know.
I would do that job.
Yeah.
I would. I love animals. I would.
Yeah.
$55,000 a year to cuddle panda bears, baby panda bears.
Yeah, take care of them, kind of encourage them to eat, different things like that. Yeah.
I'd work overtime.
Yeah. Well, there you go, people. There's going to be definitely some people that are motivated to be a panda cuddler.
Yeah.
All right. We are heading on to our last subject here, Ron. We're going to end up with weird and strange signs that have popped up all around the world. And we just kind of look at them, say what we think about them, and enjoy them. So this is one sign here. Somewhere, and not sure exactly where, it says, if you are stolen, call the police at once. Look underneath it. Avoid rude and unreasonable chicken. Yeah, I think somebody doesn't have great English or something. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I wonder if those, because they're translating. I wonder if it's just bad translation.
Yeah. Okay.
Try the strange juice.
See this one. Yeah. Warning, please look under your vehicle for penguins. Okay. I don't know where Table Mountain National Park is.
Yeah, nowhere near where I'm at.
Me either.
I would feel terrible I feel terrible if I ran over a penguin.
Yeah. So this could actually be, a purposeful sign, if depending on where it's at.
Yeah.
But for most of us, it just seems like a weird sign.
It would have to be in a place where there are penguins, or it would be a real weird sign.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Now this is a weird sign. It's it's a twofold sign. It's like, don't let your dog poop in this area, and then be careful. An eagle's going to fly away with your little dog. That's all I can. Is that what you interpret here? What do you think when you see the sign?
Well, now that you say that, I either that or the bird is walking the dog, showing maybe they're saying, because there's a lot of irresponsible dog owners, maybe, like you're just going to let them poop and then take off without picking it up. I guess you can really read a few things into this. So that is a weird sign.
It is. Okay, let's see what we got next. Next sign, just a typo. It's the winter time, and it says winter conditions, drive with cake. I would do that every day.
Yeah. German chocolate.
Yes, love that. Okay. Toilet rules. If you lift it up, put it down. If it runs out, replace it. If you miss it, wipe it. If you're finished, flush it. If it smells, spray it. Ladies, remain seated for the whole performance. Gentlemen, stand closer. It may be shorter than you think. That's a great sign right there.
Yeah. You know, it always amazes me the lack of consideration for people coming behind a person using a toilet.
Yeah. I've seen some crazy scenes.
Well, it's like peeing all over the lid. You know,
Right.
You could put that lid up.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And then you can go pee. So in case somebody actually needs to sit down, they're not sitting all over your pee. Yeah, it's just,
yeah.
or they just don't flush. Yeah, I've seen everybody watches this is going to say I've seen it all.
Yeah.
If you've ever been
It's
anywhere
crazy.
in public,
The things people do.
have you ever been to like some of the customers I go to? They're like construction sites out in the middle of nowhere, and they get the porta potties.
Oh yeah.
I will only go pee in a porta potty.
Okay, here's a funny story. This is real. This was earlier in March. We were driving down to SoCal, and we had a couple cars, some of our family members, and a couple of us had to use the restroom real quick. So we saw a porta potty in this small town, and we pulled over, and myself and one of my sons ran up to go into one, and we opened up the door, and there was people sleeping in there.
Oh,
That was crazy.
oh.
It's bad enough to go in it, so dirty, but sleeping in there.
Was it was it like raining or cold? Or?
No, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon, a normal day. It wasn't bad weather, nothing. They were just sleeping in there.
And they didn't even lock it up.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
That's
Really
one of the
weird.
worst places I could think of that you would want to sleep.
Yeah. I'd rather sleep on the ground outside or something.
Yeah,
Crazy.
find a tree to get some shade under or something.
All right. This is an interesting one. Elementary school. It says literacy night, December 8th, 5:00.
Oh, just that day, huh?
I know. And then look, literacy. They need to spell literacy the real way. So
It's misspelled.
It's misspelled, yeah.
I bet that was on purpose.
Probably, yeah. Okay, this one, a service center. It says girls, girls, girls. Just kidding, oil changes.
Yeah.
And this is a weird one. Low-flying owls. Maybe it's real. Yeah.
I wonder why.
Do owls attack when they fly low? Do they hit you? I don't know.
I mean, unless there's a lot of rodents, and that's their prey usually.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Okay, this is a funny one. It's a sign just around some rocks, and it says, here, please do not poop in the rocks. We can't believe we had to make this sign.
Because somebody pooped in the rocks.
Yeah. Crazy. Once again, the things people do.
It blends.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we have left. Oh, this is our last one here. This is funny. I don't know how to describe it really. It looks like it says toilet, and there's a female on one side of the wall, and in what looks like a male climbing over the wall and looking down.
Yep. Creep.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be a creep, I guess is what it's saying. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't care what kind of, everybody's got different things, right? But watching a woman go to the bathroom, there's nothing attractive about that.
No,
There's nothing.
Yeah, it's just weird.
That is it's a very weird thing.
It's weird and a little sick, yeah.
It's sick.
But apparently it happens enough that they need to put a sign. So
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have him looking under.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's the sign on the other wall.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, Ron, so have you ever seen any weird signs? This is the end of our slide deck, but anything like that you have seen and thought, oh man, I can't believe I just seen that.
Yeah, but nothing I can remember or recall to bring to mind,
Yeah.
exactly what it said. But mostly a lot of them online. I have seen, whether it's just like a little shorts on YouTube or just Google images and you just kind of stumble across them.
Yeah.
Or somebody will post something. I've seen some funny ones.
They are good. It's fun to look at some of those every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
There
we go.
You had a few others that you had sent that you didn't show that you just can't show them all. There's just too many. But
Yeah.
there were some pretty funny ones in there.
Well, there you go, Ron. We've finished a Random Strangeness episode.
Yeah.
It's fun and interesting. Any one of these really stand out for you?
Which one? Well, the pooping on the rocks was one. I like the girls. No, just kidding. Oil change.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite one.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I just liked seeing all of them. They were all pretty good. Well, look, as we wrap up today, thanks again, Ron, for being on this with us today.
Thank you.
Jumping into these. And thank you all out there for watching and listening. And just a reminder, if you like this kind of random strangeness, we put out an episode every week of something different. You're always going to get something a little different and strange and unexpected. So please subscribe. Hit the like button. It helps a video get out there more, and tell somebody about us. We enjoy having interactions and comments if you have anything like that. But aside from that, as we wrap up, I just want to remind everybody to remember there is a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality, so always keep your eyes, ears, and minds open. And until next time, stay safe. See you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.